What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea, and I am talking again some Ascendance Live Season 4, Episode 4, I believe it is. And I am joined by another familiar face on the pod. Carson joined us last season to talk a little bit about Season 3. Coming back
Yes.
on for Season 4, Carson, how are you? What's been going on?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Duke. Things are going pretty good. I'm finishing up college and, of course, streaming Ascendance Live season 4. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's always good to have you on to talk about the season and what's going on. We have a little bit of drama to talk about here at the end of this
Ooh.
episode. Looks like there might be a little bit of beef between Matt and Michael. Do you think explosions are going to happen, Carson?
I think something's about to go down. Like when Matt walked away from Michael and just went downstairs, I was like, this is gonna be good. Um, yeah. So it'll be juicy for sure.
So basically, it seems like Matt thinks, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but it seems like Matt thinks Michael is maybe putting the hidden power that was found in that, in not by Michael, by the way, by Aaron and Josh way in the first episode, but is pinning this missing power on Matt. So obviously he has some right to be a little bit upset with Michael here, but what a unfortunate events here for Michael, opening an empty box and then getting immediately into a fight.
I know, yeah. And it's just funny because both of them are wrong, right? Neither of them have the pendant. So it just makes the drama even better. Just knowing that it's founded on total BS. um but yeah, I do especially feel bad for Michael because he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and he's being accused when he shouldn't be.
Right. What do you think of Ascendance has done this, I think, from the beginning with this box, this mysterious box that people always want to open, and it's always out in the public. Carson, if you see this box, are you going anywhere near it, man? Or are you just like, no, I'll let somebody else fight that?
Uh That was something that was so frustrating for me to watch this episode. I kept seeing players go for the box next to all of their competition. And I'm like, what are you doing? If there is a pendant in that box, why are you okay knowing that half the cast is gonna see you get it? To me, it would be smart for people to hide the box or go to the box when people are sleeping. I don't know. It's very questionable.
And it's so fun that we had, the live chat during the episode. So we kind of rehash, go down memory lane, if you will, of past seasons and past mistakes. Season 1, we saw this, and Stephanie and Peyton kind of were like jockeying for position and, running all over the house with the box. And then even last season, we see Kira, who was just on the podcast, you know, open the box in front of everybody. They see that she gets the pendant, and then she's immediately blindsided the next round. So it's like, come
Ugh,
on, guys, what
I
have we
know.
learned?
Yes. And there's so many things you can learn from watching the past episodes. So many easy mistakes that can be avoided with a little bit of studying.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, it's okay, I guess.
it's okay. Nobody's been eliminated because of it just yet. So we will see, obviously, next episode if that comes to fruition. But Carson, you said studying. How about this overnight video that people are looking at? Is this inconvenient? And how did it spark the video? Because people were in the chat like, Taylor Gaby had a wig on. Somebody said something about the wig and it sparked it. But Papa was like, no, that's not sparked it. What's this video about?
I don't know. The wig is a very interesting piece. One thing that I love about the wig specifically is Aaron's confessional about the wig. That was so funny. I'm obsessed with her. She's everything. But yeah, the overnight video, it just adds this extra layer of stress. And I know that those producers intentionally put the double overnight when there's 18 people left. Like they're evil for that. And then of course like the box chaos. It just there's a lot that's currently happening.
And then upstairs, there's this picture with flowers and three timers. I still don't know what that means.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it has something to do with the pendant, if I had to guess. Because I know Eli got the clue, and someone else got a clue to the pendant during the carnival game, right?
Taisha and Eli both got the
Okay.
same clue, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming it has to do with that, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, is that the same pendant that Josh and Aaron found?
Or are there multiple pendants out there? We don't know, but we're
Yeah.
gonna watch and find out within the next couple weeks. But we're talking the first double elimination of the season.
Mm.
We're at 18 people. Is it too early for a double? Is it too early to see two people go home, or are you ready to see some people get knocked off quick?
Honestly, I'm ready for people to go. I mean, Ascendance has never done a 20-person cast. And so I think in terms of timing, uh, it just makes sense because the game is really not that long. Like it's only a few days long. Um, so I think we'll probably see another double too, like in the pre-jury phase, if I had to assume. So yeah, I'm ready for it, and I feel like it's gonna be spicy. So yeah,
Yes,
I've got my popcorn ready.
yes, of course. Carson, we see Rachel and Aaron or Erica win the captain's challenge,
Mm.
out in the elements. Let's see, the little survivor being brought into the season of Ascendance where you have to deal with the elements of rain. Eric did a little slipsy. Um, but shout out to them for outlasting the competition and taking home their
Mhm.
first captain win. Did you think they were going to be the ones to do it? It seemed like a kind of a competition that had a little bit of strategy, social. Who are you allocating your balloons to? So, what did you think?
My first thought watching the challenge was like feeling triggered because of like Balloon Gate from my season. Anytime I see balloons on Ascendance, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually thought that the gray team was gonna win because Adam seemed to be like really like doing well at just staying sturdy and like receiving the balloons. Um, but I'm very happy for green team pulling it out. I'm rooting for both of them. They're both dear friends of mine, and I feel like them being captains during a double just like adds to their iconicness. So yeah, makes me happy.
What a perfect time to win to avoid two eliminations.
Yes.
Both as a captain and as the teams that have won. The
Yeah.
team portion. But I wanted to ask you. I mean, early on in the competition, it seems like the husbands and Michael and Eric were being targeted to, people putting their balloons on them. Is that a sign of things to come? Or are people coming for those guys?
I think they are. And it makes me kind of frustrated because I am rooting for the purple team. Like, I love the husbands. I feel like you sort of like see on Survivor and sometimes Big Brother, like these really like sassy gay villains. And like, I think that they like perfectly encapsulate that archetype, especially Matt. Like, you can tell that he's like this fiery, like competitive human. So I'm really rooting for them, and I think that they have the capability to like really create a fun storyline. I'm definitely concerned for Matt, especially coming into this double. But I'm hoping that Grace and Billy can work some type of magic with them, maybe, or they can figure out how to survive.
Yeah, Matt has been so fun with his confessionals these past episodes, and he had one where he was just saying that Jim looked great in the ring with his muscles. And then, he's had
Yeah.
multiple, when they're going into a vote and he wants to target a single person, he's given a confessional like, I'm coming for that person. He's done that, twice now. Both
Hmm.
times didn't work out, but hopefully, I mean, maybe
Yes.
this third time something happens. We will have to see. So we have the iconic Ascendance has done this in the org every single season, the storytelling competition. And, you know, some people can really mess that up, but it seemed like every team, was able
Yeah.
to, pull it together and get at least four questions right. So
Mhm.
did this happened in your season? How did you fare with this one?
I really feel like this season, especially, every single team did a good job with the challenge. Like, it's very common on Ascendance for one or two teams to like completely flop and get like one question right or even no questions right. Stares at my team for my season. um, but Um, yeah, every team did a really good job. You can also tell that like no one wanted to do this challenge. Like I think it's like universally like seen as one of like
It's the
the
worst. It's the
it's the
worst.
worst. It's the worst. Because it's just so hard and like one person in the order can completely screw everything up. So you really have to like have a strong team like in every single aspect.
Carson, if you have your choice of, the person that receives the story first, maybe one of the people in the middle, or the person that just answers the questions after they've heard everything, which one are you picking?
Oh man. See, I'm kind of torn because I think the person at the end like simultaneously has like the most pressure and the least pressure. Like, I mean, if you're not told a good story, you can't answer the questions.
Hmm. Which we
So
saw
I
with
think I
Josh. We saw with
would,
Josh.
right,
Made up
right,
random
right.
random answers.
Yeah. Josh is such an interesting character. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, I think I would go with the end phase of the storytelling, just because I think it's probably the least risky, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would go the same route as you, Carson, because I am not one to remember many details. So I would hopefully just um, maybe at the end throw a few Hail Marys that hit too. But I believe, this is something that I think happened in your season. I'm not sure if it happened in season one, but sometimes the person that either receives the story the first in line, or does the questions, is given an opportunity to claim a power. And I was surprised and shocked that that didn't happen this season. Maybe it's because of all the chaos that's been happening after, the competition. But were you shocked no powers were given out here?
I was, yeah. I thought it was really funny when Taylor was like, "Oh, I just went here so that I could get a power."
Yeah,
She's a queen for that. I love that mentality. I think we might see more powers being distributed like a little bit later, because I know that there's already a few sort of like circling in the game, like the swap teams and the captain's choice and the ascendance advantage, and then the pendant. Like, there's already quite a bit.
right.
So I would guess that we'll see more coming, but yeah, it is kind of surprising. I know the producers love to sort of throw in those little tricks, or like hidden powers in the challenges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right that the carnival night did give out a decent amount of powers
Mm.
um into the game. And maybe that's where they're transitioning now instead of the old prompt you with temptation. Um,
Yeah.
Carson, we have two
Mm.
pending eliminations, and I took a screenshot of who's attending elimination one and who's attending elimination two. Obviously, both captains. So Rachel and Erica will be at both safe. But
Mm.
there's an interesting dynamic where, there's going to be half the people attending the elimination that are safe, half are going to be vulnerable. So there's four vulnerable in each, whereas a majority of the people will be safe that are attending. Let's start off with, do you like this format?
Do you what?
Do you like this format?
Oh, the format? I think it's really juicy. It's like one of my favorite words. um, it's
Nice.
something that I anyways, um, I don't know if Ascendance has done this in the live show. I don't think they have though, right?
We've never seen this. No.
Yeah. So I think it creates a very intriguing dynamic because with so many people safe and so few vulnerable, you're really exposed and put in the limelight. So I'm honestly here for it. I think anytime the producers can add an extra twist or introduce something into the game that will spice it up, like I'm here for that energy. Because people get sort of complacent in Ascendance with like their alliances and their groups, and I feel like the best Ascendance players are like adaptable and like independent. So yeah, I'm hoping that these eliminations are full of all sorts of ever-changing dynamics.
I think we might have some with these next two eliminations. Let me talk to you about, let's just break down elimination one. Let's do some speculating because I think that'll be fun to see where we think people stack up. So
Mm.
I'm looking here. I believe the team that won outright was the red team. So they will be attending elimination one and they will be safe. So those people are Adam, Chris G, Jim, and Taisha. And they're going to be attending the elimination with four people from the green team that are not safe. So these are the people that are eligible to be voted here: Chris Yu, Grace, Josh, and Eric.
Oh.
So I remember in the room with Billy, Chris G, that they asked Eric, who he thought he would be voting for, who he thought the names were, and he said that the only names that were out there at the moment and that who he actually preferred, he didn't say these to the people in the moment, but he said that Grace and Chris Yu were the names that were out there, and he, was going to vote for Chris, but really is probably leaning towards voting Grace. What do you how do you think, this one's going to shake out? Which one of these four do you think's in the biggest amount of danger?
I agree that I think it'll be between Grace and Chris. My gut honestly tells me Chris, which makes me really sad because Chris Yu is someone that is very near and dear to my heart. And him and I have a very unique relationship, especially with Ascendance. But one of my biggest concerns with Chris is I worry that he is not making enough like social relationships with people. Whereas like I think Grace is doing that a little bit more. Um, so yeah, I kind of predict it'll be Chris. I hope it's not because he's one of my dear friends, but I'm a little anxious about his survival chances, especially just seeing how few people are able to be voted for. Um,
Yeah.
it's scary.
It's going to be a tough position for both of the four, both people going to eliminations. But I honestly could see any one of these four leaving in this first one, because Michael's getting in a lot of hot water, right? So Eric, we keep
Mhm.
getting confessionals about Eric like not liking what Michael's been doing. So I wonder if that will come back to end up biting Eric in the butt. And then we have Josh here who has a pendant in his hands, but he's got to be like one of the bigger returners that has the biggest, target on his back. So maybe
Yeah.
people are getting a little antsy and want to take a shot at him.
Yeah, absolutely. I really want to hear Josh's comments on the box and like the fact that he's just like sitting back and like watching all this chaos ensue. Because there was a quote that Josh mentioned earlier in the season where like he wants to play more heroically than villainously. I don't know if that's coming true. I feel like Josh enjoys being that strategic villain. But it would be cool to see a different side of Josh in this season, just based on how season three went. Um, so I'm rooting for Josh, and I hope that he's able to survive and sort of drive the narrative forward and bring the entertainment.
You mentioned doing the heroic thing and maybe playing a heroic game. Do you think the
Mm.
heroic thing would have been like, oh no, Michael doesn't have the power, like I have it, I found it first night, like kind of just clear his name, or do you think him sitting back in the shadows and laughing at Michael was good?
I definitely think it was smart to not tell people that he had the pendant.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, no, like that was the smart choice for sure. I do feel bad for Michael though, but yeah, I think in that circumstance, Josh made the right call.
Yeah, yeah. Michael and Matt in elimination two, they're both eligible now to be voted. Obviously, we see the beef here at the end of the episode. But we also have Christopher and Stacy, who are people that are also eligible and vulnerable this round with those two. And then the people that are safe is the black team, which consists of Billy, Eli, Aaron, and Taylor. So of the four people, obviously we see a little cliffhanger at the end of the episode where there might be a little
Mm.
bit of a fight, but would you say it's going to be between the two people that were fighting, Michael and Matt, or do you think that there's maybe some possibility of the other two?
My gut tells me that it's going to be between Michael and Matt. I mean, what I've seen in previous seasons of Ascendance is like when you draw a lot of attention to yourself, that really starts to shift the target towards your name. So I think it's smart for players like Christopher and Stacy to just sort of take a step back and let Michael and Matt be their own like worst enemies.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it'll be a clash for power, and I think the fight is just starting. So I'm excited to see how it sort of blossoms into something bigger or crazier. Uh, yeah, I cannot wait for next week's episode. It'll be fantastic.
It strikes me like Matt is not a person that you want to get in an argument with. Now, I'm not saying that Michael was looking for an argument. I think maybe Michael um maybe said the wrong thing to the wrong person and it got back to Matt and now he's finding himself in this position. But
Hmm.
if you were to call it yourself and all things were even, um, who do you think comes out of that, Matt or Michael? And like I guess we have to consider the people voting too, because you
Yeah.
know, it's interesting. There's not as many returnees that are voting here. There's Chris and there's Billy,
Mm.
Christopher and Billy that are voting that are returnees. And Erica, who's the captain, who does have, it seems to be like a close connection with Michael. So does Christopher because
Mm.
of the first
Yeah.
round or the first vote they were at together. So I don't know.
I really believe that Matt is in trouble. Like, I hope that Matt does not go home, truthfully, but I think the husbands winning back to back captain's comps was just like not a smart play, like that early on. Like we saw it in my season when I believe Kennedy won like a lot of captain's comps. Like the target was on her like the whole season at that point. So I think we're seeing a similar fate with the husbands, and I fear we might be losing Matt. And I'm curious how Jim, as a result, might like move forward in the game because he seems to have sort of a different approach than Matt.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that would be my prediction. But I could see Michael, also going. I mean, Matt clearly has a lot of like social charm. He's great at comps. Like, I think he can work his magic and potentially sway votes. Um, yeah, it's anyone's game.
I think that there was an interesting conversation between Jim, Grace, and Matt in the whatever room that is that everybody goes into, where they were kind of like, let's make a deal on both sides. And, we protect, you, Grace, on one side with Jim, and hopefully maybe we can get Billy to protect Matt on the other side. My concern is, in round one, Matt really went after Billy, and I feel like that might fall on, that might not
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's not looking good. Like people in Ascendance like to hold a vendetta. It's like you
Yeah.
targeted me this round, I'm gonna vote you out now. So I I think it's a good attempt making extending the olive branch, making a deal, but I think it might work out for Grace more than it will for Billy.
Yeah. And another thing that Michael has going for him here is it seems like it. Well, we were told that the elimination is happening in the morning, so that means he has survived the first day or second day or whatever. So his ascendance power that he's holding on to will grow in strength. It seems like from whatever it was, steal a vote, extra vote, whatever the next level is. So
Yeah,
that's a plus.
yeah, it will be. And I hope that Michael doesn't use it if he doesn't have to. Because if he can like pocket it and just be chill, like it goes to a power, right? Like a pendant of power.
I believe it was, extra vote to steal a vote to the last day or the last time he can use it. It turns into a full pendant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super powerful.
Yeah. Carson, there's only one other thing that I wanted to ask you before, we kind of close out. How dirty is it of Matthew Papa to keep playing that Taisha tumble clip? Like
Oh my
we had it
God.
in the last episode and they brought it back here in the first couple minutes. When are they going to get rid of that clip?
Oh my, they're so mean about that. Poor Taisha. She just tumbled.
She'll never live it down.
Uh, yeah, that running comp during my season, bro, that was treacherous. So I don't think the producers will ever fully ditch that clip because it is entertaining, I will say. um, but yeah, I'm sure Taisha doesn't like it.
They don't care. They don't care.
They don't care.
Carson, give me a winner pick and give me next who's getting eliminated next.
Okay, if I had to choose a winner pick right now, I would pick Stacy.
Okay.
Stacey has been my winner pick from the very beginning. I think she is in a good spot actually by losing her partner because now there's really no emphasis on her. And I think she is a very like likable and like rootable underdog. I also could see someone like Eli or Taisha winning because I think that they're playing really good, like under the radar social games and like no one is like looking at them. Uh, and then if I had to choose who's going home, it's so sad, but I think I would predict Chris, you, and Matt.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah, I agree with you on the next boots. Actually, the first one, I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. I think there's a lot that could happen, but I do think we might lose Matt. And what do you think of you? What do you think of Jim's? Say Matt goes home. What do you think of Jim's? Outlook in the game. Do you think he makes it far in the game without Matt?
I could see it. Yeah. I mean, I think right now Jim is slowly becoming um, in a worse position, right? I think the purple team is sort of on the bottom in a way, or at least people are targeting them as we saw in the balloon challenge, which is never a good thing if you're like the first one being targeted there. So I think if Jim loses Matt, then he needs to pivot and find allies. It looks like he might be able to get something going with Grace, but Grace is also a target this round, right? So it's like, is that going to give him more power, or is that just going to further put him on the bottom? Um, I also think Jim needs to win less and sort of just chill for a second because managing your threat level early in Ascendance is so important. And I don't think that the husbands have like done a good job at managing their threat level.
No.
So yeah, but I think he has the capability to still succeed.
Yeah. Well, Carson, I appreciate you so much for coming back on this season and talking about the episode. It's always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again at sometime down the road, man.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.